Alrighty, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Rentman Winter Boost. It's getting a thing now. Every quarter, we take some moment to tell you about the feature that we're launching at Rentman. We also get quite some questions, so very happy to host it again. My name is Roy. I'm the CEO and founder at Rentman. Today is the Christmas version of our webinar. Before we wait, everybody, I have a small question to ask you guys. Since we look back at the year, I want to ask what is the event this year that you're the most proud of? And we take 2 or 3 minutes to answer this, so we can wait for the people to show up. Yeah, so that's a QR code. Scan it, and then we can see the results. Ooh, we do have some results coming in. Waiting for votes, I see. Job number 36, 362, 3 million.6. I was hoping for names of events, some kind of festival that you did. Eurovision, oh wow, that's amazing. I think that's one of the biggest shows in Europe. LDI, I think you had a booth there? So yeah, we also had a booth there, by the way. Nike 30 years, Tomorrowland. Oh wow, that's amazing. I wanted to go to Tomorrowland. Never have the time. The camping of Tomorrowland, also important. ADA Amsterdam. I actually did win there. Nike 30 years, some corporate events. Golden Bachelor in Germany. I think that's a TV show, right? Nice. Harmony of Hardcore. Somebody hadn't had an event yet, but is proud of installing Rentman in the company. That's also great to see. Hannover Messe, trade shows here. It's a good representation of what we see, right? So with the events, we see some media production, we see trade show. It's a bit of where our customers usually come from. The Gucci fashion show, nice. AMF, IBC as well, also a trade show. The Amelia car show, a show in Orlando, nice, good to see. Great event. Somebody who had their first event with Rentman, a festival, the Zesdaagse in Amsterdam. That's around the corner. All right. ABN AMRO Open. I think the sport events, cool to see. Nice. Now I think we're getting ready. I think we had the opportunity for everybody to join. Let's get this show on the road. So for the people who joined in the last minute, my name is Roy. I'm the CEO and founder of Rentman, and we have this webinar as an opportunity to tell you about what we've been working at Rentman, what we've been building. We do that in 4 parts. So I start with the general improvements and the smaller feature that we added. Then I hand it over to 2 of our product owners. They talk about the crew improvements and the improvements on the equipment product. And then we take some time to answer all your questions, because it's a live show and we want to hear what you guys think about what we built, or some other question that you have with regards to the software. So let's start. Be more in control of your business with Rentman. So that's our mission, right? So we hope that you are more in control, and we hope that we can play a part in that. That's what we get to the office every day. Again, we do it with 2 products. We have equipment product, we have a crew planning product, financial add-ons. And hopefully this blend together will give you all the tools to make the best events. And looking at the screens, all the events that you guys did, you can already be quite proud of the event you did with our software. My part is about the general improvements. And I think what's good to know is that every quarter or once every half a year, we take a moment for all the smaller improvements that you guys bring us to pile them up. And then we have a week where we don't work on our regular schedule, but we invite all our developers to work as a group on some of the smaller features. And last week we launched 85 improvements that were, let's say, a bit smaller improvements, still valuable. And I'm going to highlight some of them. So let's start in the crew planner. One of the features I wanted to show is that the zoom levels are automatically saved, right? So I'm here looking at the visual crew planner, and you can zoom in and zoom out. so that you get the view that you're most comfortable with. Some people are just looking at the weekend, some people want to see the whole week. Depends a bit on the job that you're doing, but while you are looking at your group planner, you probably go around all these different tabs. And it's good to know that now when you get back to the group planner, it remembers your view. So before, you need to find the right zone before, and that is solved. One other thing that you will see is that even if you now move to a different date, for instance, you want to check last week or next week, we added a today button that gets you back to today, while maintaining the amount of days you have in your view. So I think it's very important. Some of you look at the full week. We have a lot of customers who always look at 4 days, so the Friday to the Monday. I think the days that you have in your view is important. And now by clicking this button, you can go back to today without changing the amount of days you have in your view. Another small improvement on the invitation. So if you look at the invitation, we cleaned up the information that you see to make it easier, and we work with more distinctive parts so that you have a quicker overview of what's actually happening within your invitation. And while we're on the topic of invitation, we added something new. When you send an invitation, I'm going to send out to, you see the reminder here. So by selecting the reminder, you're able to, when you send an invitation and you don't get a response, then the software will give you will send out a reminder before the due date is done. Easy feature, easy fix, but hopefully saves you another call, another email. Let's look at the mobile app. Quite some of the improvements that we do were in the app. 3 things that I want to highlight is that if you now in the warehouse module scan your QR code, it will book the item that you currently have in your view. It might be a bit hard to understand, but while you're in your warehouse app, you can scroll through your list of equipment. So you might have a microphone that you need for one group, but you also have a microphone that you need for a different group. And what happens now, the moment you scan your item, it will only book out the item that you have in your current view. And that's hopefully, because it's probably the item that if the item that you're looking at is the item that you're picking, that's probably also the item that you want to select. And that makes that flow smoother. Another improvement, you see it here in the screenshot, is that we added a button that allows you to open the flashlight when it's dark, when you're in a warehouse or on location. Use the flashlight, and then you can scan faster. Easy fix, hopefully not a failure. Something else we added is that you can show the image of the equipment in the context of booking. So you were already able to add images to your equipment, but what we added now is that you can also view them during booking. So if you have temporary crew or people that don't know the exact names of your equipment, maybe for some equipment it's relevant since you don't use it every day, you can add the photo and then people can see which item they need. Again, small improvement, but hopefully these things really make your life a bit easier. Another improvement in the warehouse, the ability to add a serial number even while you're not scanning, right? So it can happen sometimes that you want to scan a item that has a damaged QR code, or that you just gave something away and then you forgot to scan it. Well, right now in the web interface, you can see it here in the screenshot. You can select which serial number you gave away. So yeah, performance improvement. I saw somebody here on the slide though say IBC is one of the shows we were most proud of last year. It's funny because I also was at IBC last year, and I spoke to some of our customers who use Rentman to plan their big Netflix productions. So they have one project with hundreds of locations with different shoots, and they found out that especially in these larger projects, we sometimes struggle with some performance issues in the mobile app or in the warehouse. We took a lot of effort in making sure that we have a monitoring system in place, and we know when these things happen. We made a huge impact to make sure that the software is faster in these occasions. So probably if you now also have bigger projects, you will find out that the warehouse flows are smoother and that the software runs faster. Yeah, then let's look at the Rentman recap. So I started with the projects that you're most proud of. What we do every year, you find in the home screen of your Rentman, you find the front end recap, and we will show you also from our perspective the projects that you that were the most successful for you. So we show you a list of equipment that you had the most, the crew that you work out the most, and I think it would be a nice opportunity to look back, reflect on the year, and see how the year was for you from our perspective. So I hope you're gonna have fun with that feature. So that's it from me. These are the small parts. I want to give over to Sarah to look at the crew planning.
Yes, thank you, Roy. I'm Sarah. I'm one of the product managers in Rentman, responsible for a big part of the crew product that we have. And to start with the crew improvements, I also have a Slido question for you. How many shifts were scheduled, or how many people were scheduled on shifts this year? And remember, Shifts was released in spring 2024, end of March. Let's see. I see already a lot of people are voting on it. You still have 5 seconds to make a decision on it. Let's see. Let's reveal the real answer. 71,000 crew members were already scheduled on shifts. I see a quarter got it right. Still some improvement in that one. But amazing that we already had so many shifts scheduled and people scheduled on those, to know that you really enjoy this new feature that we created at the beginning of this year. So we're going to dive into what we in general want to accomplish with our crew product. And that is that Rentman will become your single source of truth for all crew-related information. And we split this up in 3 different subjects. So the first one, easier access to information about your crew. And with that, we mean that we want to make it easier to find every data of your crew members about history, what the kind of jobs they did, their skill level, their absence and availabilities. We want to make that visible for you within Rentman. We also are working on smoother and more efficient communication. And I think most users probably have seen in the past few months how we did some improvements for the invitation flow. We also mentioned that in the last webinar, making this easier to personalize, give you more options. And we're still working on making communication a bigger part of Rentman. And then at last, more accurate time tracking. So a topic that we also discussed earlier on in different webinars, but again, I will mention it in this one. We've worked on the time tracking module, making it easier and faster for your crew members to register time on the activities and functions they're scheduled on. And we're also looking into more flexible time registration for all other stuff that you also do for your projects. So the first real improvements that I want to show you and talk about are the visual crew planner update. Something that we already communicated a little bit in marketing, but now I will explain to you what it actually is. So what we improved in visual crew planner is that you now in the big grid see the functions and then the vehicles and crew members directly underneath the function that are scheduled on to make the link between these even more clear. It also means that you can see more functions in one big overview, and you see the exact times of these functions. I'm going to show you how it works and how to collapse them in the visual crew planner here. So you see here I have several functions. I can unfold them. So you see that Charles and David are scheduled on this specific project, but I can also from here on with a right click say I want to expand all functions, I want to collapse all projects, and from there make it easy. Just click on the function itself. The second big topic on the crew product has been the improvement on shifts. So I already mentioned we released the big shifts feature in March this year. And after the release, we got quite some feedback about little improvements that people were still missing in it. So one thing that we created now is when you create a shift, you could already do a recurrence, but what we created is that you can do a recurrence on specific dates. So you get a calendar and you can click on the dates that you want to do the recurrence for. And we also added extra input fields for shifts. So what we heard was that people, for example, really wanted to indicate which warehouse location the shift was related to. And that is now possible. So let's dive into the visual crew planner again. One of the things that we also improved is that you can create a shift from the crew grid by clicking on someone. We create a shift. I wanted to start at this time. It's going to be a repair day. So we can repeat it on specific days. So for example, it's going to be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for Brian, because I clicked on his timeline and he works at the Western warehouse. Here I created, and then you see, you see it pops up multiple days in a row. The last big crew improvement that I want to show you in this webinar is the pre-filled time forms. So we've worked a lot on the time registration module in Rentman, and I already mentioned in a previous webinar our improvements in the app, but lately we've created a lot of improvements in web as well. So what we did is to make it easier and quicker to register your hours on something that's scheduled for you. And you can also easily see the activities that were scheduled for you and click on them to open the time form that's related to it. Let's take a look again. If we go to the time registration module, you have the Add Time Registration button that was already there. But if you now click on it, you get this pop-up. In the configuration settings of your workspace, you can indicate default start time and default end time, because we know for most office staff, it will be always the same. But if you are scheduled on functions, you go to the planned activities, it will give you a list of the activities that you are scheduled on in the past 24 hours. So stagehand, for example. And if you continue, it opens up the time form with the start and the end time already selected based on this function. And you only need to check whether the data in there is correct. So it says that I've worked 7 hours and I had half an hour break. That's not correct. It should be 6.5. So it matches the duration of the field, and I can save it. And close. What we also created here is this little shortcut, the activities module, where you see everything where you were scheduled on or will be scheduled on. And from there, you can also open up the time form again. Then we're going to the equipment improvements that we created, for which I want to invite Job.
Thank you very much. So before we dive into the equipment side of things, let's head back onto Slido for a couple more questions. You can just scan this QR code or go to slido.com and enter this code that is currently on your screen, and then you should be able to participate. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Job. I am product manager for the equipment part here at Rentman, and I'll be talking a little bit about what we have done the last couple of months. In the meantime, I see already a bunch of answers coming in. The question is, how many times did you book alternative equipment items in 2024? And there is still a couple of seconds left to log in your answers. And that is it. I see the majority has gotten it right, because there were 21,865 alternative items booked in the warehouse. It's really a ton. We have one more question for you guys, so stick along on the Slido. Since we launched it 2 weeks ago, how often has the tracking log been opened? So this is about the warehouse tracking log. It's a feature that I'm personally very excited about, and I will talk a little bit more about that later. There is still a couple of seconds to answer. And I already see that, again, the majority of you has gotten it very much right. It's been opened right now at least 1,826 times, which is a ton. I'll get back onto the warehouse tracking log in a second. But before we dive into much, I want to talk a little bit more globally about what we're trying to do at the equipment side of things. So ultimately, what we want to do is help you solve your really advanced equipment challenges. And we're trying to do that in two separate ways. On one hand, we're trying to add additional workflows that you encounter in real life, add those to Rentman so that Rentman really represents the real life on an accurate way. And on the other hand, we're trying to improve existing workflows. So things that already exist in Rentman that you can already do, but could use some polishing, use some improvements. And we really like to do this based on your feedback. So if you have any feedback or any input on those existing workflows for us, please make sure to share that with us. So last couple of months, we've been working on a couple of things. And we've recently launched actually 3 new features. One is the warehouse tracking log that I just mentioned. There's also the equipment history log. And third is the contact history log. And I want to talk and show all 3 of them actually. So first off, the warehouse tracking log it's really a log of every single thing that happened in the warehouse. So every single booking that was done, maybe things that were booked out on location, things that were booked return, but also repairs that were created. Maybe items that were lost are marked as well in the warehouse tracking log. Combinations that were opened, unsealed, sealed, combination content that was changed. Everything that happens in your warehouse will be logged in the warehouse tracking log. And ultimately, we believe that this really helps you prevent mistakes. And ultimately, it really helps you in making sure that the right equipment is at the right place in the right time. So let's check it out and see how it looks. So consider, for example, you're packing a project and you need to pack this specific mixer. So you walk up to the shelf in your warehouse where you know the mixer is located and you find the shelf empty. So that's very unfortunate. You can do a couple of things. You can maybe walk around the warehouse trying to find it, or ask a colleague, maybe ask the warehouse manager. But that's all kind of cumbersome. You can also, in Rentman, locate the specific serial number that you're looking for, press go to warehouse tracking log, and here you can see exactly all the things that happened to this item in the last, well, in this case, in the past quarter. So right here, you can see that this serial number was booked to prepped on this dry hire project on the 16th of December. And then also on the 16th of December, it was booked to on location. Now, I know that this dry hire project was supposed to be done by now. So I expected actually it to be back returned into the warehouse. But nothing happened according to the tracking log. So now I have some more information, right? I can contact the person that rented this item from me. I can go to maybe the account manager, project manager of this project, try and figure out what happened to this item. If there is anything else, if you have any questions about the warehouse tracking log, I just showed you the very basic capabilities of it. I can dive a little bit deeper into it. If you have any questions, make sure to post them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we can get back to it during the Q&A session. Then the equipment history log. Now, this might seem very similar to the warehouse tracking log, but there's a subtle difference here. The warehouse tracking log really tracks everything that happens in the warehouse, and the equipment history log that logs everything that happens to the equipment database. So any changes that happen in the database, such as price fields, the name of the equipment, maybe serial numbers that were put as active or inactive, those types of things will be visible in the equipment history log. Ultimately, the equipment history log should really help you prevent mistakes. Spot those mistakes first, then fix them, and hopefully prevent them in the future, right? Let's take a look. I have a jazz festival project right here, and this speaker is scheduled on it 4 times for 30 euros. Now, I know that this speaker is supposed to always be priced at 50 euros. So let's see what happened there. I can just open it up and head on over to the new history log tab that is right here. Now, as you can see, it looks very similar to the project history log that already exists and the crew member history log as well. It's got the same basic layout and the same basic functionality. So here on the left side, I can select the save. I can click this one, for example, and here I can see, okay, I apparently did a change, and I changed the price field from 50 to 30 euros. So using this, I can really understand what happened, fix my mistake, and then hopefully also prevent that mistake in the future. Now, the context history log works in a slightly different way as well from the warehouse tracking log, and in a very similar way to the equipment history log. It's also just a database log that logs every change in every field. So for example, changes in the name again, maybe changes in the address, location fields, or payment information of that contact. Again, I can quickly show you how it looks like, but it's going to be very similar. If I open up this contact right here, there is a new history log tab. And when I click it, it looks exactly the same. There is saves on the left-hand side, and I can see exactly what happened. So here, again, on the 16th of December, I changed a discount for this specific customer from 0% to 50%. Now, these 3 new logs are currently available for a specific set of customers, and they are available as a trial. When this trial ends, you'll receive an email way beforehand, and you'll be able to upgrade your account to keep access to these licenses. Until then, please use them as you wish and play around with them. Also give us feedback as much as you can. You can do that using the regular channels. Maybe also check out our public roadmap. You can post some new ideas there, or give feedback on existing ideas that we're already considering. Please do that. I read every single one of them, and I'm really happy to hear from you guys. So there's one more thing that I want to mention, and that is about the core update that we did last summer. So besides the last couple of months, besides fixing a whole bunch of different bugs, we also talked to an enormous amount of you guys. And you gave us a whole lot of feedback and input on how to improve these flows. So first off, I really want to thank you a lot for helping us out and giving us all the feedback that we can use now to further improve it. Early 2025, we are focusing on targeting some of those most frequently requested improvements. In the meantime, please continue giving us feedback, use the public roadmap or the regular other channels, and we'll read every one of them. Okay, I think that's everything from my side. I want to invite Sarah and Roy back on stage for a little Q&A session.
Cool, thanks. It's time for what I find always the most interesting part of, of these webinars, the question from you guys. I see some on the screen, and so the first one I think, Sarah, is for you. Is it possible to register your breaks at a specific time?
Yeah. So when we started working on the time registration module, we saw this question also coming in. I think there's some country specific that really want to register their breaks at a specific time to make sure that it's not all at the end of your shift or at the start. And it's possible now. I can even give you a little demo about where to find it. So in your configuration settings, we have the time registration. And here you can indicate whether you want to do it as a default with only duration or exact start and end times. If you save it, it also shows up like that in your time registration form. So here you now see you have breaks with start and end time. You can even add multiple breaks and so on. You can also change it back. Just see what happens.
Cool. And once again, if you have a question for us, then please put it in the chat. My colleague will put it here on the screen, and we can hopefully answer them. So feel free. What I saw, 85. Somebody mentioned we got 85 improvements, but we only showed 7. Where can I find the rest? I think that's a valid question. So all the features, everything we launched, we put it in our we call it a change log. So if you go to our support center, support.rentman.io, you'll find a link, or you can search for change log, and there we have the full list of everything we launched and the explanation. Job, I think the next one is a question for you.
Yes, there is a question from Diego Hi, Job. If a combination is in the warehouse, could we select it once stuff is coming back and scan it directly into it, even if it wasn't in the project? So if a combination is currently in the warehouse, select it once stuff is coming back. So I assume that you want to fill a combination that is currently in your warehouse with equipment that is returning from another project. I understand that. You probably want to fill up that combination to store it in a certain area, but that combination of the case itself might not have been on the project at that point. We're currently looking into some other ways to do return flows. We know that there is different challenges while returning equipment from your projects, especially if you have multiple warehouses. This can be a little bit of a challenge. So we're looking for more feedback and input about that. So Diego, I think would love to talk to you about this one.
Cool. Sarah, what Diego also asked is, will you release pass on shifts and vehicles?
Yeah, this is a request that we now see more and more, to have a break on shifts as well, so that the worked time matches up in the end of the week. And it's on the backlog. We're looking into it. Keep requesting this if you need it as well. If we have enough people asking for it, we for sure will add breaks to shifts.
Cool. So Emily, when we talk about the change logs and history logs, I think Job, maybe you can do the next one.
I think this one is actually maybe for Sarah. Is there a plan to add a history log for jobs worked for specific crew members?
Good one. So currently the jobs worked for specific crew members is added to the project history log. And you can also go into the activities module actually to see which functions.
It might be good to show the activity modules, because I think that's something that's very often overlooked.
That's true. Okay, let's dive into it. So underneath the time registration module, you have this thing called activities. And in here, you can set it on everything you want. I currently have it filtered on the person I'm logged in as, but let's see it a bit more. Hello. Here. So you see here all functions and shifts actually that your crew is scheduled on. If you want to see it from one specific crew members, you can filter on there. And in this case, see what they have done in the past.
Cool. Yeah, so I think we get this question a lot about the history, and usually the activity log is the answer. So yeah, that's already possible.
Yeah.
Question from Carlos: Can we get a webinar on the API or Zapier integration with some details and examples of what other users are doing to help automate some function? I think that's a very good question. So also last month we hosted a webinar session with one of our US-based customer. They had quite an elaborate Zapier flow where they did integration with the web shop, automatic emails being sent to communication. I believe that webinar is online and you can look it back. And the next webinar that we do is in March. So it will again be a webinar that we can maybe team around it. So we get this question more. Job, question from Diego. Diego is on a roll. From the warehouse tracking log, are we going to find info about in which combination cereals are?
Yes, that's a very good question, Diego. I can understand where you're coming from. Yes, on one hand, yes, you can see in which combination an item is. You can see in the warehouse tracking log. Maybe I can actually show it. So if I head over to a combination and let's find a good one. Let's just find one specific combination. I will add an item to it. You can see it's now removed from another combination, which it was already in. And I will seal it now. So these type of actions, moving equipment into and from combinations, sealing combination and breaking the seal of combinations, that's all included in the warehouse tracking log. So I think if I refresh right here, we should be able to see it's not yet popping up. It takes a couple of seconds, but underneath the actions there should be a little action on item added to combination or content of combination changed. What you refer to, I imagine, is more a little bit about finding out where a specific serial number is currently in which combination. This is a question that we hear much more often, and this is one of those things that we're going to target early 2025 as well. So you should be, you should be able to do that a little bit more easily than you are right now.
Cool. Another question we got on the tracking log. They said the tracking log is actually in testing mode when it's fully implemented. I think it's good to realize that right now we have it in beta, but it doesn't mean that it's not fully implemented, right? We think this is very workable and very valuable as is. The reason that it's in testing mode is that we want to have more feedback on it. And when we think we really iron it out and we understand what people are doing with it, then we communicate how it will be launched and in which license it will go. Right? From Karel, another question also about adjusting the project afterwards. When a person has been allocated for a job, then modifying the amount of the job cost won't affect the payout number in the statistics. I need to remove the worker from a job, save the project, and then add back. What it amounts to is that I need just in case remove and add back 1,000 instances of jobs a year. Is there a workaround? Sarah?
I think currently there is not a workaround because we in general created the Rentman project as if the project is created and everything is scheduled, if you later on change crew rates, it won't affect your already scheduled projects because in a regular situation, you don't want them to affect your project costs. So I actually don't think that we have a current solution for this problem.
Yeah, and maybe somebody in support can think of a workaround. But indeed, it is good to realize that often when you plan somebody, then you sign a contract for that current rate. Yeah. So it would also be not in our vision to, in hindsight, adjust all the rates because we believe that's usually not that much used actually. Yeah. Question from Jan for Job. Is there a way to mark lost defective for serialized items in the physical equipment? Can have content serialized?
Yeah, so marking items as lost or defective that are currently inside a combination. Yeah, I totally understand that. Currently, the only way to do that is to remove them from the combination temporarily, mark them as defective, and go from there. We are collecting a lot of feedback on this flow, and we realize that this is something that people might need to have a little bit brushed up. So yeah, please send us your use case, your ideal workflow, and the struggles that you currently have with it. I'd also be happy to have a chat with you, John.
Cool. Question about the crew planner and data privacy.
Yeah, it says, hi, I want my crew to be able to see the crew planner so they can have easier time deciding when it's best to go on vacation and so on. Unfortunately, I give them access to it, and then it means that they get access to private messages that account managers have sent to specific crew members. And that's against data privacy policy. Well, our crew planner is really meant to be a module for people who schedule crew on functions. So if you have multiple crew planners, it's important that they know what information has been sent to which crew member. However, your use case that you really want to be able to show the crew the schedule of other crew members is actually what we created the My Schedule module for. So if I were you, I would revoke the access to the crew planner for all of your crew and dive into the My Schedule user permissions. There you can indicate if they can see the schedule of other crew members, can see their availability, and I think that should already solve your issue.
Maybe show where that's in the software.
Yeah, we can do a little show and tell. So here we have the user roles. And for example, if you edit the office, you can see My Schedule. And here you can see project planning of other crew members, for example, or appointments for all employees, availability for others. I think this one then will be the important one for them. And if you give this and they go to My Schedule, here they can check other crew members. So for example, let's say you want this one, and you can see what their schedule is looking like. So that should already solve the issue for them.
And of course, I think it's always a very delicate balance between showing people what they need to do and not showing too much. when it really comes to the data privacy policy, what we just usually see is that people just sign off that their data is used in this kind of way, because I think you work with freelance and you work with your own crew, and there are ways to legally sign off that this doesn't affect or that you're still compliant with the law. There are a lot of ways to do it. Cool. Job, small question for you. Will the app get a dark mode?
Yeah, I get that question quite a bit, and I definitely see and understand where you're coming from. Probably working a lot in dark environments. I think a very bright app, it can be a little painful to the eyes. It's currently not something that we're looking into. Like I mentioned, in 2025, we really want to focus on getting those combination workflows properly implemented. So it's not currently on our roadmap. No.
Cool. Question from Victor. We manage audiovisual in an event space where we leave audiovisual materials throughout the year. What would be the best way to proceed with this space? And then I think I have the feeling that Victor already knows the answer, because he said hiring a warehouse would be too expensive. What would you propose? So Victor, yeah, you feel where this is going, but we built a specific feature for this. So we made it possible that you can have additional warehouses in your software. It's quite complex, so we have lots of ways to manage that. You can make transfers, you can have projects that consist of equipment that comes from your main warehouse and the equipment that's already in the warehouse. You can make lists of everything that's at a warehouse at an event space. I think it's very good to know that our additional warehouses are free in the case that you don't use them in a project, right? So we see a lot of customers who have multiple additional warehouses, and you can use it for free. However, there's a small fee if you choose to really run project from that warehouse. And then of course, it's quite an elaborate feature, so we charge some money for that.
I can maybe just quickly show you where you can do that. In the stock locations module right here, you can add a new stock location, and you can always add new stock locations of type storage location. This is just a storage location, can be as small as a small room somewhere, or as big as I don't know, an ice hockey rink, or a full installation job. In this storage location, you can manage your gear, but you just cannot schedule any projects from it.
Yeah, what we also see as a use case quite a lot is that we have a tour, right? So that they have, for like one season, they have a tour with one or more trucks that are filled. They create a storage location, they move that equipment to that storage location, so that it's also booked for all the projects around it. Cool. Question from Jamie. Is there a way to send out requests to crew that is inclusive of all dates and not individual dates? For instance, the show is 4 dates. Our crew gets 4 different requests and not one individual for all days. Sarah?
Yeah, so we do advise to create separate functions for all days to make sure that the hours that they have to work align. And I think currently the easiest way is when you create all invites at the same time and then send out an invitation email, it all shows them underneath each other in the same mail. So it still comes in as one big mail with all requests. I'm not sure if that would solve your issue, but currently we're not looking into merging these functions in some way.
And then maybe the next question, will it be possible in the project view timeline to see the name of the crew and not just green, orange, red blank in the project details?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
No, I'm sorry, I'm a bit lost in where this would be.
Okay, and then there's another question from Diego. Very nice improvements in the crew planner. How can I see in the overview below all the people involved in a project? So I guess one project, how can you see all the people that are involved in it?
Mm-hmm. So, well, thank you for the compliment on the improvements in the crew planner. What we did now is that you see the people scheduled on a function directly underneath the function. And to make it easier to have a good overview of who's all in that project, with a right click, you can unfold all functions in a project. Let's go into the crew planner. So you have everybody there in that one overview. So here, with the right click, you can say collapse all functions in the project. So now you see the functions, and expand all functions in the project, so you can see the people who are scheduled on it. if you really want to list with only people, I would say go into the project and check the crew and transport.
Yeah, but what I use a lot, not that I plan so many events nowadays, I've got quite a challenging job, but there is a function here that shows you all the people that are actually in the project.
Yeah, that's also a good one.
So yeah, that might help you already. Cool. Question about Zapier. Will the old value and the new value in the tracking log be available in Zapier? Sure, Job, are you comfortable answering this question? I feel
I'm not sure what exactly you refer to by the old value and the new value, but probably the warehouse tracking log itself would be the best way to keep track of any changes. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what old value, new value is about, or maybe it's about actually the equipment history log. This one.
Yeah. So actually, we launched it recently for the project where you had a status, and when you change the status, you were able to get the old status, right? I think this is
that you can do. So in a similar way, you can deal with inside Zapier. You can deal with adding filters, and that way getting the old value and the new value out of it. Yeah.
Cool. A question from Germany about the new digital invoicing law. I'm not going to repeat the whole question because it's quite long, but it is the case indeed now throughout the whole of Europe. We see that most of the governments are transitioning to digital invoicing. For us, invoicing is a feature that's used by around 70% of our customers. So we really follow what's happening in the law, and we want to provide with the most common standards. So I think at the moment we already indeed support UBL, and the question is, are we also going to support Zoekvecht? I think here it really depends on the demand. So ideally we wait till one default standard in the EU arises that everybody will use, so we can solve everything in one go. However, if we see that Zoekvecht will be the default in the coming months, then we will for sure take it as an opportunity to build that in our software as well, but we cannot promise it. Cool. I think that's it. Yeah. If I look here to the right, I don't see any more questions being asked. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Always cool to show what we're building. We try to do this every quarter, but in the meantime, please follow us on the socials. And if you have more questions, please put them in our regular support channels. And maybe Job, the product board would be good to show where because
public roadmap.
The public roadmap, we have quite some questions about what are you guys building and how can we make it better. I think it's good to show.
Yep.
Where you can put
so on our website, you can go to more, and here is the roadmap. That will give you access to the public roadmap. In here, we are gathering feedback on a whole bunch of different topics. You can open them up and add your feedback to it by clicking one of these buttons. Then also there's this big blue button on the bottom left, and this allows you to just share any new idea that you have, any feedback that you have, or maybe some brilliant new plan on how to improve our software. And we're always open for all your input.
Yeah. To give you an idea, we get around 5,000 of these requests per month, and we all read them individually. So
keeping us busy.
Yeah, but we
you laugh, but it's true. Right?
Yeah.
We read every single one of them. It's always very valuable.
Yep. Cool. So once again, happy holidays, and see you in a quarter. Thank you very much.